As I go about splitting up my linear term, I might come across products that happen to be a negative value. So after determining my A, B, and C, I'll take my A, I'll take my C, multiply them together, and come up with negative 378. So the rule up here says that if I have a negative value for my product, I expect one to be positive, one to be negative. Now, which one's the positive, which is the negative, can be helped be determined by knowing that my B ends up being a positive 13. So, since it is a positive value, my larger number of the two should be the positive value. My smaller number should be the negative. I'll just highlight the positive, the larger number down here on the bottom. So if I kind of go through the process I've done in the past, and I look at the extremes, I have to realize that negative 1 and positive 378 is going to give me 377. That is way, way too big, the number 13. If I also go about taking the square root of 378, I would find out that that number is roughly 19.442. Now, I know that 19 and 20 do not get multiplied together to give you 378. But if I was to hypothetically assume that they are close to it, I would at least realize that those two numbers would be, added together would be 1. So I know it's not 19 and 20, but I at least know it's going to be closer to 19 than it is closer to the 1 over here. So let's just kind of go down the line and do some analysis. I know that if I add up 3 plus 7 plus 8, I get 18. That means 18, that number is divisible by 3, so my whole value is. I know that 378 is even, and divisible by 3 makes it 6. I know that 18 makes this divisible by 9 because 1 plus 8 is divisible by 9, along with 3 plus 7 plus 8. And I also know then, because it's even, divisible by 18. The fact that we are close to negative 19, let's go negative 18 into 378 and realize I've come up with positive 21, and that leaves me a sum of positive 3. So we're creeping closer to 13, but it's taking a little while. One of the things you can do is you can kind of go in the middle. Let's say you decide you want to use negative 9, and you realize that you got positive 42 as your second piece. You would realize right away that the sum of those two numbers is positive 33, and that's already too big for 13. So now I have an idea that I'm expecting my numbers to fall between negative 9 and negative 18. Again, is it closer to negative 18? It seems like it should be, but again, the change happens quickly, so let's just see what happens. In fact, if I just go ahead from negative 9, I know it's not divisible by 10 because 378 doesn't end in 0. I don't think 378 is divisible by 11. Let's take a look here. 370, oh, gotta move all the way down here. 378 divided by 11, no, that's not it. It's not divisible by 12 because if it was divisible by 12, oops, let's change that. I would have expected 78 to be divisible by 4. It's not, so not 12. I guess we could try 13. Nope, that doesn't work. If we go to 14. So if we go 14, let's see, 14 here, 27 here. Hey, there's my positive 13, and then I can break up the middle term as negative 14x plus 27x. So if I was to use the bottom example where a is 15, b is negative 4, and c is negative 91, and multiply 15 times negative 91, I would come up with negative 1,365. B, on the other hand, would be negative 4. So my product being negative 1,365 says I should expect a positive and negative number. Because my B is negative, I'm expecting the bottom number, again, we'll highlight in blue, to be negative, and the smaller number to be the positive form. Looking at the extremes, positive 1, negative 1,365, gives me a sum of negative 1,364, which is not even remotely close to negative 4. So it would be helpful to use the square root trick. Take the square root of positive 1,365. Figure out that that works out to be roughly 36.944. Imagine if I had used a positive 36 and a negative 37. Now again, I want to emphasize, 36 times negative 37 is negative 1332. It is not going to be the answer. But then again, even if I add them up, I knew it was going to be negative 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find numbers closer to positive 36 and negative 37 than I am towards 1 and negative 1365, because negative 4 is much closer to negative 1. And the fact that we're ending in a 5, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide 1365 by 35. And lo and behold, it works. Positive 35, negative 39, works out to be negative 4. I have found it immediately. And I can rewrite the quadratic as 15x squared plus 35x minus 39x minus 91. So there are some hints on how to break up the middle term.